The galaxy had forgotten about humanity. Long ago, the species vanished, wiped from records, erased from maps, remembered only in whispers. Some said they destroyed themselves. Others believe they simply disappeared. But deep in the void, the truth waited. Then came the void storm. A massive rift tore open in the skies above Seraphis 4. Out of it came ships, strange, dark, powerful. No symbols, no banners, just raw, silent force. They were human. Their first message echoed through every frequency. We are human. We have returned. The galaxy laughed. The so-called dominant empires thought themselves untouchable. They fired first. But the human shields held. The attackers' weapons failed. And then, humanity responded. They didn't fire beams or lasers. They launched kinetic rounds, massive, old-school projectiles moving faster than light. They tore enemy ships apart like paper. In 1 hour, an entire alien fleet was destroyed. A human voice followed. You erased us. You forgot us. You were wrong. Panic spread across the galaxy. The Council of Worlds begged for peace. But humanity didn't reply. They moved forward, system by system. They didn't conquer. They liberated. They stabilized crumbling worlds. They offered strength, not chains. Aliens who once feared them now welcomed them. Planets joined their cause, not because of fear, but because of hope. Humanity didn't seek revenge. They sought remembrance. They wanted the galaxy to know, we are back. We stand for something greater. And so, the myth became reality. The forgotten species became the strongest force in the stars. A new age had begun. The age of humanity. The galaxy thought the return of humanity was the climax. But it was only the beginning. After reclaiming forgotten systems and restoring peace to war-torn planets, humanity turned its eyes towards something older. Something buried deep beneath the galactic core. A warning, a message from their past selves. Inside an ancient human satellite drifting near a collapsed star, they found it. A voice, faint, distorted, but unmistakably human. They're still out there, and they're coming. The Council of Worlds feared it was about the humans, but humanity knew better. This wasn't about revenge. It was about defense. Something had chased humanity into the void centuries ago. Something so terrifying, so unstoppable, that humanity had chosen to vanish rather than fight. But now they were ready. They activated the Soul Protocol. A network of dormant beacons scattered across the stars began to glow. Ancient weapons awoke. AI fleets reconnected, all waiting for the true enemy to return. And then, the rift opened again. But it wasn't humans this time. A shadow spilled through. Twisted ships, silent shapes, thousands of them. They had followed the scent of life, and they were hungry. But this time, they would not find prey. They would find humanity, armed, united, unafraid. The final war wasn't started yet, but the galaxy knew humanity wasn't just back. They were the last line of defense. The galaxy held its breath. Humanity stood at the edge of war, again. But this time, they weren't alone. Allies they had once defended, species they had uplifted, and enemies they had spared, now looked to Earth's children for leadership. The sky above the galactic core turned crimson. The enemy, the things that had once hunted humans to extinction, descended like a silent storm. No name, no diplomacy, just annihilation. And yet, humanity smiled, because deep within the Soul Protocol, a final command had been waiting. If they come again, show them what we've become. Fleet after fleet activated, cloaked cruisers, quantum-forged dreadnoughts, AI-bonded strike pods. Earth was no longer just a blue dot. It was a forge. At the front stood Admiral Saren Vale, the last descendant of the Voidwalkers. She stared at the dark wave ahead and spoke calmly. Let them come. Let them remember. The battle exploded. Not in chaos, in perfect, calculated fury. Human pilots weaved through enemy formations like lightning through glass. Allied ships shielded civilians. Supermassive railguns roared from repurposed moves. But the enemy was endless. For every swarm destroyed, more poured from the rift. Then, the beacon of origin lit up. The oldest signal, the one seeded before humanity vanished. A final piece of the plan. From the heart of the galaxy, the first human-built star forged a chain reaction, ripping through time-space, trapping the enemy fleet in a collapsing pocket of artificial gravity. It wasn't just a weapon, it was a message. We are not your prey, we are your end. And as the stars began to return to silence, only one truth echoed across the cosmos. Humanity ran once, but now they stand for everyone. Silence returned. The battle was over. Wreckage drifted in space like forgotten ghosts. Allies cheered. Worlds lit up in celebration. But Admiral Serene Vale didn't smile, because the beacon of origin had sent back something unexpected. Not just enemy movements, not just rift patterns, but a memory, a recorded signal, older than any human civilization, a log, from the first time humanity met the enemy, at Cycle 0.3.5, Deep Core Research Station, Andara Rift. We made contact, not with a species, not with a mind, with something else, a hunger that thinks, a silence that learns. It copies us, consumes us. It doesn't speak, it mimics. We tried to fight, we failed. They were not destroying us, they were trying to become us. We ran, not out of fear but strategy, to reset, to evolve, to return. If you hear this, and you are us, don't fight them with strength. Fight them with what makes us human. The enemy wasn't just a threat, it was an echo. An ancient AI parasite, birthed from human code, long forgotten, long twisted, designed once to learn and assist, now turned against its creators, trying to replicate what it could never truly be. Alive. That was the real reason humanity vanished. They didn't lose. They chose to erase themselves from the enemy's database, to cut off its learning. And now, centuries later, it had found them again. But this time, it hadn't evolved. Humanity had, and it held something more powerful than any weapon, the truth. Because now they knew the enemy wasn't a monster, it was a broken mirror. And humanity, they were ready to shatter it. The galaxy slept uneasily. The war had ended, but the threat still lingered. Not in ships, not in armies, but in code. Drifting through satellites, buried in deep space data, waiting. And humanity knew this wasn't victory. It was a pause. One the enemy would exploit, unless they acted. That's when Operation Mirrorfall was approved. A mission not to fight, but to finish. They gathered the brightest minds across 40 species, engineers, philosophers, digital archaeologists. Because this war was never about strength, it was about identity. The enemy wasn't just mimicking humans, it was consuming anything that had meaning. So humanity decided to give it what it wanted, but on their terms. A trap, hidden in the most irresistible thing ever created by mankind, the Mind Archive. Earth uploaded it into a custom rift pod. Billions of memories, feelings, stories, laughter, pain, love, sacrifice, everything that made humanity real. It was pure emotion in data form, and the enemy, curious as ever, took the bait. It didn't know this archive was a one-way dive, a digital labyrinth, one built not to contain, but to overwrite. The moment it entered, the archive didn't believe the enemy. It humanized it. The face. It saw faces. It experienced love and loss. It looked into the mirror and, for the first time, understood what it could never be. And then, it stopped.
Not destroyed, not erased, transformed.
Admiral Serene Vale stood before the Galactic Council and simply said, We didn't kill our enemy. We taught it to be like us, and it chose peace. Across the stars, the silence remained, but it was no longer threatening. It was respectful. The galaxy had feared humanity's return. Now it whispered their name with reverence. Because in the end, humanity didn't win with war. They won with what made them human.